The dust never settled on Crimson 9. It hung in the air like a thick, rust-colored cloud, coating everything in a layer of grime that seemed to eat through protective gear faster than acid. Yunji wiped the sweat from her forehead, leaving a streak of red-brown across her already dirty skin. Another 12-hour shift was ending, and her body ached in places she didn't know could hurt. Around her, the mining tunnels rumbled with the constant sound of heavy machinery and the shuffling of workers. Humans moved like shadows, their movements practiced and careful. They were the lowest of the low on this mining planet, called meat by the Kreldar overseers, a name that meant they were nothing more than replaceable workers, expected to die and be quickly forgotten. But Yunji was different. Her eyes, sharp and focused, took in everything around her. She watched the Kreldar supervisor, a massive creature with rough, scaled skin and 4 muscular arms, moving between the worker lines. Its translator box crackled with sharp commands, each word dripping with contempt. Section 7. Production is down 3%. Additional workers will be removed, the supervisor barked. The translator's emotionless voice made the threat sound almost casual. Yunji knew what removed meant. Workers who couldn't make the impossible quotas simply disappeared. No questions asked. No bodies returned. Just gone. She moved closer to her work group, a tight-knit team of 6 humans who had learned to survive by watching each other's backs. There was Jae-sung, the oldest of their group, whose hands were more scar tissue than skin. Min-ki, who could fix almost anything with nothing more than a piece of wire and determination. Sung-ho, quiet but always alert. Hai-won, whose quick thinking had saved them more times than anyone could count. Young-jun, barely 20 but already looking like he'd lived 100 years. And Yunji herself. Another day, another miracle, Jae-sung muttered, checking the radiation levels on his worn-out detector. The device was held together with tape and hope, much like everything else in their world. Yunji smiled slightly. It wasn't a happy smile, more like a promise that they would survive, that they would find a way. The mining tunnel was a massive underground network, stretching for kilometers beneath the planet's surface. Crimson 9 was rich in rare minerals that powered entire galactic economies. The Kreldar had discovered long ago that human workers were the most adaptable, the most resilient, cheap, replaceable, expendable, meat, the Kreldar called them. But Yunji saw something different when she looked at her team. She saw family. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the tunnel. Red warning lights began to spin, casting everything in a hellish glow. Young-jun tensed up, his hands gripping his mining tool so tightly his knuckles turned white. Sector breach detected, the mechanical voice announced. Containment protocols activated. Hai-won moved quickly, grabbing Young-jun's arm. Stay calm, she whispered. We stick together. Yunji watched the Kreldar supervisor, noting how its multiple eyes scanned the tunnel. Something was wrong. Something was always wrong on Crimson 9. But they would survive. They always did. The dust continued to settle. The machines continued to grind. And deep beneath the surface of an alien world, 6 humans prepared for whatever came next. They were more than meat. They were a family. And they would prove it. The tunnel collapsed without warning. One moment, everything was normal. The next, rock and metal screamed around them, a thunderous roar drowning out every other sound. Yunji found herself buried under a pile of twisted metal and sharp rocks. Her ears rang. Dust filled her lungs. For a moment, she couldn't move. Jae-sung. She tried to shout. Only a weak cough came out. Slowly, she pushed herself up. The emergency lights flickered, casting strange shadows across the broken tunnel. Bodies lay motionless around her. Some human, some Kreldar. Most weren't moving. A strange sound caught her attention. Not a human sound. Not the mechanical buzz of Kreldar communication. Something different. Nearby, partly crushed under a massive support beam, lay a Kreldar worker. Its scaled skin was torn open, revealing dark purple blood that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Most humans would have looked away. Most would have left the alien to die. But Yunji was not most humans. She moved closer, checking her emergency medical kit. It was beat up, almost destroyed in the collapse, but still partially functional. The Kreldar was breathing, but just barely. Its multiple eyes were flickering between consciousness and darkness. "Hey," Yunji whispered, "can you hear me?" The alien's eyes focused on her. Most Kreldar looked at humans with pure hatred. This one looked different, scared, hurt. Yunji knew the risks. Helping a Kreldar could mean immediate punishment. Humans who showed kindness to their alien overlords were often removed faster than those who didn't meet production quotas. But something about this particular Kreldar was different. She began to work. Her hands moved quickly, using what little medical supplies she had. The Kreldar watched her, confusion clear in its alien features. Humans didn't help Kreldar. Humans were meat, disposable, worthless. "What's your name?" she asked, not expecting an answer. To her surprise, the alien responded. Vorik came a weak translation through its damaged communication device. Vorik looked different from the supervisors. Smaller, less muscular. His scales were a lighter shade, more gray than the deep green of the overseers. Something in his eyes suggested he didn't quite fit in with the others. A sound from the tunnel's entrance made Yunji freeze. Rescue teams would be coming soon, and they would not be happy to see her helping a Kreldar. "Can you move?" she whispered. Vorik tried to shift but winced in pain. His right side was badly crushed. Without her help, he would die. Footsteps grew closer, heavy, mechanical. The rescue team's heavy boots would soon enter the tunnel. Yunji made a decision that would change everything. She grabbed Vorik, using all her strength to pull him into a small maintenance tunnel. It was tight, dark, but it would hide them. As the rescue team's lights began to sweep the collapsed tunnel, Yunji held her breath. Vorik remained silent, his injured body pressed against hers in the tiny hidden space. Something had changed, something important, and neither of them knew exactly what it was. Not yet. 3 days passed. Yunji had hidden Vorik in an abandoned maintenance shaft deep within the mining complex. Her team thought she was working extra shifts. The Kreldar thought she was just another replaceable worker. Nobody suspected anything. Vorik was healing slowly. His alien biology was different from humans, but Yunji had learned enough to keep him alive. She brought him scraps of food, clean water, and medical supplies stolen bit by bit from the medical storage. "Why are you helping me?" Vorik asked one evening, his translator device crackling with each word. Yunji didn't answer immediately. She was carefully cleaning the wound on his side, her hands moving with surprising gentleness. "Because nobody else will," she finally said. The maintenance shaft was dark and cold. Pipes ran along the walls, dripping water that echoed in the tight space. It wasn't much, but it was safe. For now. Vorik learned something important during those days. Humans were not just meat as his people believed. Yunji was smart, careful, determined. On the 4th night, everything changed. Vorik's communication device picked up a transmission. At first, Yunji thought it was just random noise. But then she saw Vorik's face change. His multiple eyes narrowed. His scaled skin seemed to grow darker. "What is it?" she asked. The translation came slowly. "Workforce reset," Vorik said. The words sounded clinical, cold. Yunji knew what that meant. The Kreldar planned to eliminate all human workers, not just reduce their numbers, not just punish them, completely wipe them out. "How soon?" she asked. 3 cycles, Vorik responded. "About 2 weeks in human time." The mining complex housed thousands of human workers. Men, women, young workers like Youngjun, older workers like Jae-sung. All of them were marked for death. Yunji's mind began to race. She had always been good at solving problems, at finding ways to survive. But this was different. This was about saving everyone. "I need information," she told Vorik. The injured Kreldar looked at her. For the first time, there was something different in his eyes. Not pity, not hatred, something closer to respect. "I can help," he said. Over the next few days, Vorik shared everything he knew. Security protocols, shift schedules, weapon storage locations, communication frequencies. Each piece of information was another weapon in Yunji's growing arsenal. Her team noticed changes. Hai-1 saw how Yunji started collecting extra tools. Min-Ki noticed her studying communication systems during breaks. Jae-sung watched her more carefully than usual. "Something's happening," Jae-sung told her one day. "And I want to know what it is." Yunji didn't tell him everything. Not yet, but she smiled. "We're going to survive," she said. "All of us." Vorik listened from his hidden location. For the first time in his life, he believed a human might actually be telling the truth. The workforce reset was coming, and Yunji was going to make sure it never happened. Resistance was about to begin. The underground network began with a whisper. Yunji knew she couldn't fight alone. One person could not save thousands of human workers, but a network could. She started with her closest team. Hai-1 first, then Min-Ki. Each conversation happened in short, careful moments, between shifts, during quick breaks, in dark corners where Kreldar cameras couldn't see. "Something is coming," she would say. "We need to be ready." Hai-1 was the first to fully understand. Her brother had disappeared during a previous workforce adjustment, a sterile term the Kreldar used when they removed entire groups of human workers. She wanted revenge. Min-Ki brought technical skills. He could modify communication systems, break security protocols, create hidden communication channels that the Kreldar couldn't track. Vorik continued to provide critical information from his hidden location. His knowledge of Kreldar systems was invaluable. Each piece of data was another weapon in their growing arsenal. The network spread slowly, carefully, like roots growing underground. Workers from different mining sections began to communicate. Simple messages, short signals, nothing that would raise suspicion. A specific hand gesture during a shift change, a particular pattern of tool placement, small codes that meant nothing to the Kreldar, but everything to the humans. Jae-sung became their oldest supporter. His experience meant he could spot potential risks. He knew how to move information without being detected. He became the network's backbone. Young-jun, the youngest, became their most unexpected messenger. Nobody suspected a tired young worker of anything more than simple obedience. He could move messages between sections without raising alarms. Sung-ho used his position in the maintenance department to create hidden communication points, small maintenance tunnels, forgotten storage areas, places where information could be passed without detection. Vorik kept providing insider information. The Kreldar were planning something big, not just a simple workforce reset, something more systematic, more complete. "They want to reduce human population to zero," he told Yunji one night. "Not just on this planet, everywhere they control." The network grew, slowly, carefully. They created hidden supply caches, small weapon storage points, communication centers that looked like nothing more than maintenance equipment. Each section of the mining complex became a potential resistance point. Yunji was careful, too careful. She knew one mistake could destroy everything. Her team began to change. They moved differently, watched differently, communicated in ways the Kreldar couldn't understand. The Kreldar leadership started to notice small changes, slight shifts in worker behavior. But by then, it was too late. The network was ready. The resistance was growing, and Yunji was its heart. They were no longer meat. They were becoming something else entirely. A family, a network, a resistance. The fire was coming, and they would be ready. The explosion happened without warning. Massive sections of the mining complex suddenly collapsed. Alarms screamed. Red emergency lights painted everything in blood-like color. Dust and smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Yunji knew this was no accident. The Kreldar had triggered the collapse deliberately. They were cleaning house, reducing human population, killing workers faster than any planned workforce reset could. Around her, bodies lay everywhere, some moving, most not. Jae-sung, she screamed. No response. Min-ki was trapped under a massive metal beam. His leg was crushed. Blood pooled around him. Hai-won desperately tried to pull him free, her hands bleeding from the effort. Young-jun lay motionless near a broken support column. His young face was covered in dust and blood. Vorik's communication device crackled to life in Yunji's pocket. "They're eliminating witnesses," he said. His voice sounded different, broken. Yunji's world had just shattered. Her team, her family, destroyed in moments. She looked at Hai-won, who was still trying to free Min-ki. Their eyes met. No words were needed. They both understood what had to be done. "We're getting out," Yunji said quietly. Min-ki coughed. "Leave me," he whispered. "Save the others." But Yunji was already moving. She found a cutting torch nearby. Her hands moved quickly, precisely. Years of mining had made her strong, made her smart. The metal beam began to give way. Distant sounds of Kreldar troops approached. Heavy boots, multiple languages, weapons charging. "We need to move," Hai-won said. Min-ki was barely conscious, but he was alive. Yunji's grief transformed. It became something else, something colder, more dangerous. "This ends now," she said. Vorik's information became their lifeline. He provided escape routes, hidden passages, weak points in Kreldar security systems. They carried Min-ki between them, Hai-won on one side, Yunji on the other. The mining complex burned around them. Humans ran in all directions, some fighting, some fleeing, most dying. But not Yunji's team. Not today. They reached a maintenance tunnel. Dark, quiet, safe for the moment. Min-ki needed medical attention. His leg was badly broken. Infection would kill him faster than any Kreldar weapon. "I have a plan," Yunji said. Hai-won looked at her, waiting. "We're going to make them pay," Yunji continued. Her voice was calm, cold, determined. The resistance was no longer about survival. It was about revenge. Outside, the mining complex continued to burn. Smoke rose into the alien sky. Hundreds of human workers were dead, but some would survive, and they would fight back. The hidden medical bay was small, cramped, but it was safe. Min-ki lay on a makeshift bed. His leg was wrapped in emergency bandages. Hai-won worked carefully, her hands moving with practiced skill. Years of surviving in the mines had taught her more medical knowledge than most trained doctors. Yunji stood near a modified communication system. Pieces of mining equipment were now something else entirely. Weapons, communication devices, tools of resistance. "We need to turn everything into a weapon," she said. Vorik's communication device crackled. His information was their most important resource now. "The Kreldar will expect revenge," he warned. "They will hunt survivors." Yunji understood. The mining complex's industrial systems were their best chance. Massive drilling machines, transport vehicles, processing equipment. Each could become something more. Min-ki, despite his injury, began to help. His technical skills were their greatest asset. He could modify almost anything. "Look," he said, pointing to a massive drilling machine. "This isn't just a tool. It's a weapon." The machine was designed to cut through solid rock. Its cutting lasers could slice through Kreldar armor like paper. Its hydraulic systems could crush enemy vehicles. Hai-won brought stolen communication maps, stolen security protocols. Each piece of information was a weapon. "We need a plan," she said. Eunjae had been waiting for this moment. "We take control," she said simply, "of everything." The remaining survivors began to gather. Not many had survived the initial attack. But those who did were tough, determined. They had nothing left to lose. Young workers, older workers, technicians, miners. They all listened to Eunji. Vorik provided critical information. Kreldar's security patterns, weapon storage locations, communication frequencies. Min-Ki began modifying mining equipment. Drilling machines became mobile weapons. Transport vehicles became armored personnel carriers. Processing lasers became high-energy weapons. Haiwan organized the survivors. She knew how to move people, how to keep them focused, how to turn fear into determination. They worked in shifts, always careful, always watching. The Kreldar would be hunting them, looking for survivors, trying to complete their workforce reset. But they would find something else entirely. "We are not meat," Eunji told the gathered survivors. "We are a family, and we fight together." Some were scared, some were angry, most were both. Vorik watched from his hidden communication point. He had never seen humans like this before. Not as slaves, not as victims, but as warriors. The mining complex was changing. What was once a place of torture and death was becoming something else. A fortress, a weapon, a home. Outside, the alien sky remained unchanged, but everything else was about to be different. The resistance was preparing, and they would not be stopped. The first strike came without warning. Eunjae had planned every detail, each movement, each moment. The Kreldar would never see them coming. 3 modified mining transports broke through the main security checkpoint. Their armor was made from reinforced processing equipment. Drilling lasers had been converted into weapons. They looked nothing like the machines that once carried mining supplies. Alarms screamed across the complex. Min-Ki controlled the communication systems. He had learned how to speak the Kreldar language, how to send false commands, how to create total confusion. "Communications are down," he reported. His voice was calm, cold. Haiwan led the ground team. She moved like a shadow. Years of avoiding Kreldar supervisors had made her impossible to track. The first Kreldar control center fell in minutes. Vorik's inside information was perfect. He knew exactly where to hit, exactly how to create maximum damage with minimum risk. Eunji watched from a hidden command point. Her eyes tracked every movement on the stolen monitoring screens. "Target acquired," she said simply. The human workers moved like a single organism. No fear, no hesitation, just pure determination. Young workers who once carried mining tools now carried weapons. Older workers who once fixed machines now destroyed them. A massive explosion rocked the main Kreldar administrative building. Flames rose into the alien sky. "Secondary systems neutralized," Min-Ki reported. The Kreldar response was slow, confused. They had never imagined humans could fight back, had never considered them anything more than meat. Big mistake. Eunji's team hit 3 more control centers in quick succession. Each attack was precise, calculated. Vorik provided constant updates. "Kreldar leadership is in total panic," he said. His translator crackled with excitement. The human survivors had become something else entirely. Not victims, not slaves. An army. Haiwan captured a critical communication hub. Massive data systems fell under human control. Stolen Kreldar technology became their new weapon. Min-Ki worked his magic, turning their systems against them, creating chaos where there was once perfect control. The mining complex burned, but this was a different kind of fire. A fire of resistance, of hope. "We are not finished," Eunji told the gathered survivors. "This is just the beginning." Vorik watched in amazement. Humans were changing everything he knew about warfare, about survival, about resistance. The first strike was complete. The Kreldar were stunned, confused, broken. But the war was just starting. Outside, the alien sky remained unchanged, cold, distant, but everything else was different now. The humans had spoken, and they were not meat anymore. The Kreldar counterattack came with everything they had. Massive warships appeared in the sky above the mining complex. Their weapons were designed to destroy entire cities, to wipe out populations, to turn living worlds into dead rocks. Yunji watched the screens. Her face was calm, determined. "They think we're finished," she said to Vorik. The alien looked at her. His multiple eyes showed something new. Respect, maybe even fear. Min-Ki had prepared for this moment. Stolen Kreldar communication systems now worked for humans. Tracking systems, weapon frequencies, everything was under their control. "Incoming heavy weapon platforms," he reported. His fingers danced across stolen control panels. HFY prepared the ground defenses, mining lasers, converted transport vehicles. Every piece of equipment was now a weapon. The first wave of Kreldar attack ships entered the atmosphere. Fire rained from the sky. But the humans were ready. Massive drilling lasers, once used to cut through solid rock, now targeted the incoming ships. Each shot was perfectly calculated, each movement planned. 3 Kreldar ships fell in the first minute. Strategic targeting activated, Min-Ki said. The mining complex became a fortress. Every tunnel, every platform, every piece of equipment was now part of their defense system. Vorik provided constant updates. "Kreldar leadership is losing control," he said. His translator crackled with excitement. Young-Jun, who had survived the earlier attack, now controlled a massive weapon platform. His hands moved with precision. Years of operating mining equipment had prepared him for this. The sky burned. Massive explosions lit up the alien landscape. Ships crashed. Weapons exploded. The mining complex became a battlefield. Yunji moved between command points, coordinating, watching, planning. "We are not just surviving," she told the gathered survivors. "We are fighting back." HFY led ground teams, blocking Kreldar landing zones, destroying incoming vehicles, fighting with everything they had. Min-Ki continued to control communication systems, turning Kreldar weapons against themselves, creating total chaos in their attack formations. The battle raged for hours. Fire consumed everything. Ships fell from the sky like burning meteors. Kreldar ground troops tried to land, but human defenses were too strong, too prepared. "We are not meat," Yunji kept repeating. A battle cry, a promise. Vorik watched in total amazement. Humans were doing something impossible. They were winning. The mining complex was no longer a place of slavery. It was a weapon, a home, a fortress. As the battle reached its peak, Yunji looked at her team, at the survivors, at the burning sky. They had become something else entirely. Not victims, not slaves, but warriors. And they were just getting started. The silence was worse than the battle. Smoke covered everything. Burned-out ships lay like dead monsters across the mining complex. The ground was black, broken, changed forever. Yunji stood at the highest point of what remained of the complex. Her team gathered around her. Survivors, family. Min-Ki's leg was healing. HFY had a long cut across her face. Young-Jun looked older than his years, but they were alive. Vorik stood beside them, no longer an outsider, no longer just an alien informant, part of their family. "We won," Min-Ki said simply. His voice was tired, but proud. The Kreldar leadership was destroyed, their attack systems broken, their control shattered. "This is not just about survival anymore," Yunji told the gathered survivors. "This is about building something new." Vorik understood now. Humans were not just meat. They were something else entirely. A transmission came through. From other human colonies. They had been watching, learning. "We're not alone," HFY said. The mining complex would become something different, not a place of slavery, but a place of hope. Vorik looked at Unji. "What happens now?" he asked. She smiled, a real smile, the first in a long time. "We rebuild," she said. The surviving humans began to move, to organize, to plan. Broken equipment became new homes. Destroyed ships became resource centers. Everything was recycled, reused, transformed. Vorik helped. He shared Kreldar technology, showed them how to use systems they had never understood before. Minki worked on communication networks, connecting with other human colonies, sharing their story. Hai-1 organized medical care, helped the wounded, prepared for the future. Yeonjung trained new defenders, taught them what he had learned. The first new buildings rose from the burned ground. Not military structures, not slave quarters. Homes, communities, hope. Yeonjung watched it all. She thought about everything they had been through, how they had started as meat, disposable workers, slaves. Now they were something else, a family, a community, a future. "We are not what they called us," she told Vorik. "We are what we choose to be." The alien nodded. He understood now. Outside, the alien sky remained the same, cold, distant. But everything else was different. The humans had spoken, and they would never be silent again. Fire had destroyed their old world. But from those flames, something new was rising. Something powerful, something unbreakable. Family.